Next, back to the domestic issue question. And this basically, a couple of 3 states now have legalized marijuana. What, if anything, should be the federal response to this situation, and what should be done at the federal law on marijuana? Mr. Page.
Again, the federal government does not have an enumerated power in the United States Constitution to restrict the growth and sale of marijuana. Now, as a Christian, that's not something that I'm going to partake of. But the state of Tennessee is a sovereign state, and if they choose to grow marijuana, sell marijuana, regulate marijuana, then that's something that our governor and our state house, our state senate need to take up, and we, the people of the state of Tennessee, need to make that argument. But it is not something the federal government needs to get involved in. Ironically, I've watched an episode of a show this weekend about this very subject. And what it is when we had prohibition, the mafia started selling alcohol. And we had the black market. And then when prohibition went away, the mafia said, what are we going to do to make the money that we've been making for the past few years? So they started selling drugs, and the federal government outlawed them. God said, every green herb of the field, yielding seed, I have given you for meat. There is some nutritional value to marijuana. Do I recommend that you smoke it? I don't recommend that you smoke anything, because I think smoke is bad for your lungs. But there is some nutritional value. And as a father of a 16-year-old boy who has epilepsy, who takes hemp oil pills, and that works for him, I would say that the state of Tennessee owes it to have the conversation, owes it to the people of this state, owes it to those who have epilepsy and other problems, and owes it to the parents, my wife and myself, to have the discussion. Thank you.
Well, I pretty much again agree with Danny. I mean, this is not a federal issue. This should be something left to the state. The federal government has been involved in stomping out drugs for the last 60, 70 years, and they're no good at it. Personally, if Colorado, if they can make tax dollars off it like we do on sin tax with cigarettes and alcohol, I mean, I don't see the difference. But again, this is a state issue. It's not a federal issue. They need to get out of it, period.
I agree about not as much federal government involvement in most everything. This is going to be a state issue. I will say this though, that in 1 month in Colorado they made profit of $50 million, and that to me says that we need to look into it. Now the other thing is that cannabis plant does have not only nutritional value to it, but it has medical value to it. And there are a lot of diseases that one of them Danny mentioned, glaucoma is another one, and more, that this particular plant actually helps those individuals. So I think we need to go ahead and take a look at that. The federal government does not, this is a state issue, but at the same time, I am running for the United States Senate representing the state of Tennessee.
Mr. Wilmot.
My understanding that the federal government today is actually it's forbidden to grow marijuana or to sell it at all. I have no opinion. I think that the state should take care of it, but I will say this. I've saw children coming out of school a lot of times to get on to marijuana, and it wasn't long until they was on harder drugs. It ruined their life. I don't smoke, so I would not smoke marijuana. And my children, I would not want them, or my grandchildren or great-grandchildren, do not want them to smoke marijuana. It just leads to higher, better, bigger drugs. So if they can make medicine out of it, fine. If they can use it that way, it's fine. Otherwise, the federal government's out of it.
Mr. James.
if you take away the image of the 20-year-old just getting high, you take away the medical aspects of the, whether it be the 61-year-old woman with cancer trying to fight off some pain and deal with her symptoms, or the 16-year-old teenager who has epilepsy. You take away the money, whether you want to tax it and bring in extra revenue, or the money on the bike market. You take all those away. Who are any of us, no matter what position in life we ever get to, in a position to tell you how to live your life, to tell you the choices you have to make? It should be our individual choices, our individual rights. Now, when you make that choice and you go try and experiment something, then that becomes a problem, because I tell you personally, you get in the vehicle under the influence and you hurt my little girl or my little boy, then I'll make sure I come after you. That's taking responsibility for your actions. So it comes down to choice. Know the outcome of your choices. Thank you.
The federal government regulates interstate commerce. They've labeled marijuana as a Schedule I drug, which means it has no medicinal value. We know that now that the studies have come out that it has great medicinal value. The federal government needs to remove all restrictions on marijuana, and I agree, move it to the states as the states move forward, because it's coming, and we need to be prepared. There's people in Colorado with stacks of cash that are at risk of getting robbed because the banks can't take it. We need to correct that issue in Washington, and smart regulations on medical, industrial, and recreational use of cannabis. There are safety concerns, so the format that it might be delivered, whether it's in the form of a candy or a child or a pet, and what dose limits make sense. So we do need regulation, but it needs to be minimal. We know in society that there are some risks with marijuana as far as operating equipment and things like that, but it is, nobody's ever died from it. So, thank you.
I believe the federal government should repeal any prohibition concerning marijuana. 25 years ago, my wife's best friend had stage 4 breast cancer. She had a 2-year-old. She couldn't take any drug at all to relieve her pain except marijuana. It was illegal at the time. I believe in medical marijuana. She smoked marijuana and it helped her get over the pain. And thank God she's still living today. Her little girl is 25 years old. So I believe, like I think Danny said, or whoever said, that we should start in this state and have the discussion about medical marijuana. Thank you.
Mr. Page, you want to rebut?
I want to make it clear that Danny Page never has inhaled nor rolled nor purchased marijuana. Just a little humor. But I will stand as a United States Senator for the state of Tennessee and be a watchdog for the sovereignty and the rights and the powers of this state as given by God in the 10th Amendment. That if our governor and our state representatives want to have the discussion and want to legalize it, then I will stand guard and block the federal government from stopping the state from doing that. If we want to talk about drugs, alcohol has killed more people in this world than marijuana has ever been grown. Thank you.